Flando here in the UMG studio, joined alongside of Maze's Realm from home. And Maze, we are starting things off here on Ardent Forest. It should be an interesting one to kick us off. And I'm looking right now at Ramby. Currently, Maze, that bomb actually does get dropped in a pretty awkward spot. And right now, Ramby's just trying to recap for the awkwardness of that beginning round and doing pretty well with it. Actually does have the FG42, not the most characteristic weapon to see being brought out.
Yes, it's definitely good for the engagement that he's setting up on currently. But, of course, with that bomb being down, he's got to kind of finesse his way over. It does get taken down, and just like that, it is going to be a 1-0 lead here. And, honestly, when you see a start like that, it really could go one of two ways. Either one person will clutch up for your squad, or it will go down the way it did. And that's exactly what ended up happening. But Ardent Forest is definitely a type of map that you want to have your bomb carrier kind of sit behind some of those other players pushing up on the map and work those picks. Otherwise, you'll find that bomb down in a really precarious area.
Indeed, you will. Of course, now looking on here with the side of Yodi. Looks like Stun's already going to be out. Bomb in the hand right now of CruZuFy. As they look to kind of rush this one forward. No really side support from that angle there over on Ruins, as Maniak now quickly the last alive and wondering what most likely happened to his teammates in just that short period. Shuts down one. That's going to be on HollyDizz. 3 more remaining. And this is going to be a very difficult trek for Major Maniak to make. Of course, going in the full wraparound, maybe trying to go for somewhat of a flank through mid-cut. As he's going to have to find all these kills instantly. And if I'm the side of Yodi at this moment, I'm most likely thinking, hey, let's try to spread apart. Let's make sure that there's not even a possibility to where he can find these kills, along with grabbing the defuse. And it seems that this one is not going to go his way, as we are going to most likely see this one level at 1-1 after 2 rounds. And yes, that is going to be the case, as a nice responding round coming in.
Very good bomb plant overall. That set the tempo early. They set the bomb plant for the tank spawn, and that actually paid off, because once they were able to get that pick in the Ruins, they were able to push out that bomb site and force the last player to flank. That is a perfect play to set up to get those trades, and he was able to get pinched very, very aggressively there, and it worked out quite well overall. But as it is now, you're going to see Daddy Mamu. He's going to be that designated demolitions expert with the bomb in hand, making his way over to the B-bomb site, and the first blood has been struck, and just like that, everyone drops like a house of cards, and it's CruZuFy all by himself, and he's near mid-map. This is going to be a very tall order for him.
Indeed it will be, of course, back-to-back situations. Of course, different teams being the case. Of course, Major Maniak in the last round. CruZuFy now having to try and weather his opportunity. Of course, I guess, different teams, but you can obviously see there on that corner side. MuTex watching at both angles, of course, having a lot of teammate support when it comes down to this site. As CruZuFy most likely going to wait at the time, trying to play the passive role, as it's actually not going to work out for him whatsoever. Waits for the angle to come forward, and Maniak, nice response here. As you can see, that quick reaction time. And that's not an easy shot to hit. That's not an easy reaction to hit as well, because a lot of times, at least when I've seen players, you know, in gunfights like that, usually when a player's kind of laying prone on the ground, you usually start to think that that's a dead body or that's just something a part of the map and whatnot. But very good reaction there from Maniak. It's nice to see that his shot is hitting, especially being this early on in the morning.
Right. I mean, that's definitely something to point out, as you just mentioned. I mean, the player fatigue must be at an all-time high, but a double nade comes in. Ramby able to pick that up, and then RecKs able to pick up another, and just like that, it's all left up to CruZuFy again. It just seems like he's always got something stacked against him, and it's RecKs that's making his way over. He's able to pick up a trade here, his teammate was, and that is going to now be a 3-1 advantage, as you'll see that Ramby is able to clean up right after his teammate goes down. And that's exactly how you want to set up these trades effectively in order to continue to pile on the lead.
It almost seems that, at least in the last 3 rounds, to kind of bring up, of course, 3-1 lead right now, you know, for, excuse me, the side of Lethal. It almost seems, though, as if, like, each time we watch the last 3 rounds kind of tick apart, it's been the fact of one player being alone in a 1-on-3, 1v4 situation. I think it's just overall due to the fact of no one really being there for the trade. Or maybe it just happens to be the likelihood that everyone just happens to be going off at one time. We're most likely to think it's the strategy point of view, but, you know, randomness can be involved in COD. But we'll see if this round can be any different. And believe in HollyDizz immediately left in a 2v4 situation. Bomb in hand right now for Teddy RecKs, getting this one down inside a cabin. as the retake is going to be needed to be made, and iBuLieVe needs to hit that shot. Not going to go through. Granted, Dizz is able to at least find one. That one going to be on MuTex. However, it's consolation kills at this point. It's going to be a 4th round gained here for the side of Lethal Gaming. It's all about those first picks, mates. The bomb goes down here over toward Cabin. That's the first time we've seen any offensive pushes over toward that side. And then obviously a major kill that couldn't be found for the side of Yodi, as it is now going to be a pretty substantial lead here early on after 6 rounds. Or 5
it is,
rounds,
and I think it's really to the benefit of Lethal Gaming's ability to not only trade, but they're managing the clock very, very well. They're making decisive pushes over to the B-bomb site in most cases, and if something doesn't go their way, they decide to fall back a little bit, play the clock, and it's worked out for them, except for this round, when you're starting to see that they're just dropping like flies. It's now Twerk all by himself, as he's having to rotate all the way back to the bunker side of the map here, and unfortunately for him, he's also got that Kar 98K for its primary, so he's going to just have to utilize this line of sight, able to pick up one, almost picks up the second, and unfortunately for him, does get taken down. So flashy plays do not result in the clutch, and it's Bambi once again able to make some plays here. And overall, I mean, this is starting to really get out of hand. 5-1 lead here, but anything can happen. I mean, it is the early morning here on Sunday now, and you know, anything can happen. Someone could fall asleep. I mean, anything can happen.
It's very possible. That could definitely be the case. But one thing I wasn't really a big fan of in that last round, and maybe just a little bit of early sloppiness coming out from the side of Yodi, is honestly just in that last push. We end up seeing Twerk kind of rush toward that opposite side of the map, really kind of goes through bunker and has the sniper rifle out and doesn't really contribute at all. All of his teammates end up falling, and honestly, when you're already down in rounds, it's not a bad idea to kind of switch things up, but at the same time, you need to kind of establish map control as a team, and I feel like kind of rushing onto a bomb site with only kind of like a 3 versus 4 advantage at one point. Granted, the pick could have gone his way, but it's just such a unlikely strategy that's going to go in your favor that it's kind of making me wonder why they're trying to test that now, especially being down the way that they were. But still, now we find ourselves in round 7 with only one more needed for the side of Lethal Gaming. And with having a 1-man advantage, especially being in this 1v2, it should seem that it could go their way. But great triggers been coming in from CruZuFy, but he doesn't finish off the kill. Major Maniak goes for the dive and actually gets the plant off successfully.
What a play there. And honestly, you got to have some type of consolation prize for CruZuFy. He has been last alive so many times, and it just seems like he's in an impossible situation. It was just the trading there for Yodi was not there. And this is actually coming from a team that was able to defeat Rise Nation in a previous round of this tournament. So that's actually quite telling that now it's starting to really kind of boil down to the fact that they've just not really allowed effective trading here. And that's at least for map number 1. Ardent Forest does go in favor of Lethal Gaming here. And, you know, this is a best of 5. So that is the good thing here if you are Yodi. But still, that's a tough first map there. They've got to figure out a way to regroup here. And hopefully for them, they will get on the board here with a couple more rounds under their belts.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need to try and recap when it comes down to search and destroy on Gibraltar. Definitely should be an interesting one. I know we were kind of discussing, at least in that first map, the issue of finding those first bloods. Not really a whole lot of teamwork being shown when it came down to the kind of middle portion of that game. And if you're the side of Yodi, you're going to have to be aware of those first bloods. Nades are going to be raining from the sky, FMJ on every single AR in the game. And that's definitely going to be an interesting one for Yodi to try and recap on, as we'll obviously be able to discover how that one will take place. Of course, these are best of 5, so there's going to be at least 2 more opportunities if you are the side of Yodi to try and prevent that hot 3-0 that is definitely set on track for the side of Lethal Gaming after the dominant game 1 victory that they just had. Well, guys, we're going to head to a short commercial break. We promise when we return, we're going to have map number 2 on Gibraltar between Lethal Gaming and Yodi. We'll be back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's grand final time, and we're hopping in here toward map number 2, S&D on Gibraltar, as it was the side of Lethal Gaming who was able to close out map number 1 on Ardent Forest, 6 rounds to just 1. So, of course, you got to be thinking in the back of Yodi's minds. How can we respond to this? How can we try and recap ourselves? And, of course, we do, and we'll be witnessing that from the overhead view, it seems, as the Codcaster does do this on occasion, does not let us or does not allow us to actually go on with the player. So I do apologize for that, but at least we can kind of talk strategy at this point, Maze. As Bomb actually going down here from Teddy Rex on this turret side, is they actually have a great positioning right now. All they really need to do is just watch those stairs coming in from B-Dom, and they could be good to kind of lock this one down.
They very well could, but Rex does fall down there on the bomb site as HollyDizz making a nice flank, and Ramby is just trying to turn around, and somehow the trade does come through. So that is going to be the end of the round. But overall, this is just one of those maps where you have to be aggressive when you're trying to hit those bomb sites, because it really is a tough map to really hold control over. And that's why you're going to see that it's just going to be very, very quick, and the rounds go by before they almost start, it seems like. But overall, 1-0 lead there to start. And honestly, not a surprise that it went down the way it did.
Yeah, not at all, but still, we'll have to see how things do begin to progress. Twerk going to be the man with the bomb. I've been able to actually cast over Twerk quite a bit when it came down to kind of pre-World War II. Quite a bit of Ghost tournaments with this guy involved with, and played extremely well, known for his aggressive play along with his sniper at range. And I'm curious to see, of course, how he will continue on his play throughout the rest of World War II. Of course, joining us in our second stream so far of the new season. But looking on, Maniak actually finding the first blood there. That one going to be on CruZuFy. And a minute left in this round number 2. Ramby Bambi actually taking a few shots there. FG42 in hand for him. He's able to escape with his life, but HollyDizz actually tosses out that Molotov. He's going to watch over the stairs. And as he does that, Twerk is there for the trade, kind of acting as a distraction rather than a mechanism to find the kill. However, Ramby Bambi making his way through this roadside, knows where WWII is. And this is what we're talking about when it comes down to this map, Maze. It's about getting that FMJ on those ARs and just trying to go to work. Blind firing is going to have to be the name of the game, along with frags at the beginning of a map. And now Major Maniak finds himself in a 1 versus 3.
And good for him. He is able to make it a little bit more manageable, but 30 seconds is going to be a tall order for him. But he does spot one of the players on top of the catwalk, and he's just trying to finesse him at this point. Meanwhile, this is just having to play the clock. They cannot allow to stack up like that. He's going to try to fake this defuse at first, but let's see if he decides to stick it. And he does, and Maniak is there to respond. And just like that, you're going to start seeing that Lethal is just running away with this one to start. But just a 2-round deficit here. This is enough time for Yodi to figure out a way to regroup and get things going here, because they've only won 1 round so far in this best of 5, and they're going to have to figure out a way to just get these rounds to go their way here. So hopefully they can get something going, and WWII is going to be one of those players that we're going to have to keep our eyes on, just because he's yet to die, and he's working on those streaks, is able to continue with those streaks as well, as he now is just a few 100 points away here from being able to secure that guide bomb. And just like that, Rex is able to pick up CruZuFy, and Ramby Bambi picks up WWII. This has just really been a collapse, but it's a 2v2.
A kind of interesting scenario we find ourselves in, as HollyDizz will get picked off from the backside. Twerk, of course, here for Yodi. They're up 2-0 right now. And coming from the side, might pick off Ramby Bambi, but we'll find one. Trade is there, though. Right place at the right time for the side of Lethal Gaming, as they'll finally get a round on the board, especially after you're having a hot performance in map 1, trying to silence the early progression coming in from the side of Yodi. But like I said, when it comes down to this map, it's an interesting one to say the least, mates. I'm very curious to see how this map does kind of progress when it comes down to the competitive scene regarding strategies, regarding certain, bomb sites to hit at what times. I personally would feel like the A-bomb site would be one more kind of prone if you can kind of find those early picks. But it seems that B is definitely the more preferred one, I think, at least for right now. Could that change? Of course it could, but it's really about having that sniper if you are trying to go over toward A. And right now, of course, HollyDizz, being aware of such, actually tosses out that smoke, and I love that idea, potentially trying to use that smoke as a mechanism to distract the side of Lethal to rotating back around. However, that it seems that it's not going to be the case. I believe player number 1, actually Ramby Bambi, does spot out WWII, and he knows that there is somewhat of an attack coming toward this B bomb site. Things are not as quiet as they should seem, and now CruZuFy is left in a 1v4. Teammates not even around him, as he will drop just shortly after, as we're now level back at 2-2.
That was an interesting strategy for sure to try to smoke the opposite bomb side of where they're trying to go, but overall, that same smoke could probably be deployed closer to the middle of the map by throwing it over one of the cliff's rocks there, and then that way you could be set up for a possible trade with your teammates as opposed to being all the way back in the cave and isolating yourself. And it looks like that's what caused that play to collapse before it was even able to be completely developed there. But overall, it's still a tie game here, as it is TMTwerk once again with the bomb in hand. And unfortunately for him, he is the first player to get picked up. But once again, the bomb has been secured, and that's going to be Bambi's job now to kind of rotate back. And it looks like the 8-bomb side is the one they're working on. And here, Landon, this is something they cannot afford to really give up. They're down to the man count here. They've got to work on getting this bomb in a safer area and not allow for him to go down in this spot. But overall, at any given time, Ramby Bambi could go down and get pinched, and that bomb would be in no man's land. And
BuLieVe and Ramby Bambi literally were back-to-back for about a solid 15 seconds that don't even spot each other. Ramby Bambi getting another chance at life. Is able to find one. Quickly pulls out the machine pistol. Great idea, but solid reaction. But still has two more enemies in his way. Those two being both BuLieVe and CruZuFy. I was really hoping that we would see kind of a break coming in from that side, trying to see what the strategy would kind of be coming in. There's going to be coming in here for Lethal. And it came down to that bomb site, of course, over by Turret, just to see how the break would come. And it seems that they ended up getting a trade. It was a 3-on-3, and they kind of back up, don't really know what to do. And it's kind of an awkward scenario because, do we try to use, there's a Molotov, I believe, for one player who was in that cave window. Does he try to use the Molotov as kind of like a baiting mechanism? Or do they try to rush at the bomb site? They don't really have a sniper rifle on this team, at least in that last round. So kind of an awkward spot where they kind of make their way over toward A, kind of realize that, hey, maybe this wasn't the best decision. Let's go and wrap back around. And in the end, it doesn't work out for them. But still, it is currently an advantage right now for the side of Yodi. Up close and personal right now is BuLieVe, and he's going to actually get picked off there. Nice reaction there from MuTex, as now HollyDizz finds himself in a 1 versus 4, and he will drop just like that, as we're now a little back to 3 versus 3.
This is definitely just going to go down to the wire. Just the trades that are continuing to go through. It's really interesting to see, especially because Yodi didn't necessarily have a bad break on that bomb site. It just turned out that they were snuffed out, and the gunfights just did not go their way. And with 6 rounds played, it is a tie game here in the 7th round. And once again, we'll be able to see that it will be Lethal Gaming on the prowl offensively, able to pick up the first 2 kills, and then CruZuFy will fall as well, as now TMTwerk is the last alive. The bomb is going down, and it has been planted, and he's got nothing to be able to do because he will get cleaned up. And just like that, you'll see another lead change once again.
There's just so much chaos that really happens in like the first 15 to 20 seconds. It's almost like impossible to keep up with. It's just a matter of a person picking a certain angle or a player rushing a certain place where he doesn't normally, where a nade's at his feet and he ends up dropping. Of course, the first blood kind of comes in for the side of Lethal, and they're kind of able to make it work for them. But regardless, it just seems that these opening strategies are just so important when it comes down. It's almost like you said, it's almost like a TDM for a short period of time, because it's very difficult for the offensive team to kind of make a push. However, if they do find at least that early kill, it can make things easier. It looks like TMTwerk here on the defensive end is going to find that first blood. Actually, has a nade. This could go well for him, but on the opposite side, it's BuLieVe who dodges the nade, goes right past his head, and has a nade ready for TMTwerk in response. But here comes Maniak, tossing that one forward. Not going to be good. CruZuFy on the flank. It seems that he will be wrapping back. Man down currently. And watching over here toward that middle brick side is they could be making the push back toward B, but with a man down in the situation maze, it's just really not looking likely. This bomb's out in the open. They're going to have to kind of stick together and play for a pick, it seems.
Well, as of right now, it just seems like Lethal Gaming is stacking the backside of the middle map there. And unfortunately, it just did not work out for Yodi there. They were not able to really set up in time. And now it is a 2-round differential here, with a 1 left here for Lethal Gaming to close out this map. And honestly, Yodi's got to figure out a way to regroup again. They were able to really trade those rounds and kills effectively to get the tie, but now they find themselves on map point here. And Landon, this is going to be a tall order for sure. CruZuFy's got to figure out a way here to stay alive with his team, as he has not had the best map so far. But once again, they are going to be playing defense, so that is definitely something they could look forward to.
Yeah, however, the one thing that is going to be on the side of MuTex's squad, Lethal Gaming, is the fact that we do have streaks coming in. MuTex finds one on HollyDizz. He's also got some more streaks about to be bound. I believe also with that, we also have Ramby Bambi, who has a Molotov, Maniak as well. They've got 3 Molotovs still to work with after already using 2 streaks. If you're CruZuFy in this situation, you're just trying to weather the storm, and the storm has taken over him, as it will be a victory down in the books. Man, started off a little bit interesting, but of course Teddy Rex and co. able to hold on, as they will win this one 6 rounds to 3, and now being up in this best-of-5 series 2 games to 0.
Very interesting situation here for Yodi. They're at least able to pick up 4 rounds in 2 maps, which is, you know, it's something to at least think about going into map number 3 here. But overall, being down 2-0 against a team that's dropping numbers here, it's definitely something they're going to have to keep in the back of their heads here, because they really have to figure out a way to trade effectively. And the funny thing is, I think that they were overall able to set up a little bit better on map number 1, which was Ardent Forest. They just happened to give up some of these really crucial gunfights in really awkward ways after getting map control. Here on Gibraltar, it seems like they were getting decent flanks that were able to get them some kills to go their way, but unfortunately for them, it just resulted in 2 more rounds than they had previously. So it should be interesting to see how this next map is going to be played here on the side of Yodi, as they are down 2-0. And Landon, it is early for these teams, and obviously fatigue is definitely something that could potentially be a factor here, but, you know, hopefully that's not the case, and they're able to pick up at least a map here.
Yeah, the only most likely people who are awake right now are either hardcore gamers, Europeans, or grandparents. And we welcome all of you to the stream, of course, if you are tuning in right now. We do apologize for it being and going this late. Of course, these are our prime tournaments, so we do have to kind of keep in mind that the amount of support for these tournaments is absolutely insane. Over 230 teams signing up tonight. And it seems that we could be finding ourselves in our final map of the entire tournament, coming down to, of course, both Lethal and Yodi. However, can Yodi respond? Can they get a map on the board and at least see a map number 4? Or is this one done in 3? Will USS Texas be our final resting place for this final series? We'll find that out when we come back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for potentially the final time. We find ourselves here on USS Texas between Lethal Gaming and the side of Yodi. Currently, like I said, it is the side of Lethal Gaming who is up 2-0 in this series. And Maze, you're currently obviously joining me here in this cast. Of course, I'd love to have you so far tonight. And it seems that you have actually joined on one of the teams. Are you a Lethal Gaming fan?
Well, you know, sometimes you just got to spectate the game old school when it boots you out of Codcaster mode. But either way, it's interesting to see from this first-person view exactly what the players are seeing. And interestingly enough, the picks are just going back and forth, and on a 1-on-3, it's looking fairly tough, but that round pretty much wraps up pretty quickly, and it's really telling to see. iBuLieVe able to pick this up here, but the USS Texas map here, very cutthroat. It really allows to get mid-map control fairly easily because you don't see players make the cross, since it's a lot of internal areas in the map there, so interestingly enough, we were able to see how quickly you can get map control on this map.
Definitely, and of course, like you said, you do mention the sniper rifles. One thing that I was really curious about, and I didn't get to mention before we headed to a break, was TMTwerk. This guy who I've been casting over him quite a bit when it came down to Ghost tournaments. He has been a dominant force when it comes down to that sniper rifle, and I was wondering if he was actually going to rock it when it came down to this World War II season. And it seems that he does have that one out now, Kar 98K in hand, and trying to do some damage as he has left the bomb go to waste. Bomb has been planted, however, from afar. TMTwerk trying to find some shots. He's only found one up to this point. Spots the head of Major Maniak, but having some issues at the moment, as he's now going to be the final player alive. 3 players standing in his way. as he's not going to be able to make much more happen than that. And if you're TMTwerk in that scenario, there was a moment, and granted, these are difficult shots to hit, but in scenarios like this one, where you're obviously down 0-2 in this overall series, you can't afford to be losing or missing shots like that. That easily could have been 2 players down, and of course, along with his teammates not being able to pick up the pace prior to those engagements missed, it still should have been around potentially a lot closer than it was at the end.
I tend to agree. You can't stack all of your cards on one side of the map like that, because if you're not able to get that initial pick there, it just opens up that entire bomb site. That's exactly what ended up happening there. And honestly, Lethal Gaming was able to capitalize as best as they could there. But overall, a little bit more passive play, as it is a tie game here on potentially the final map. Remember, Lethal Gaming does lead this 2-0 in this best of 5 here in the finals. And, you know, they're doing a good job of holding their lines of sight here as far as Lethal Gaming is concerned. They don't have to really rush the objective. They just have to wait to see if they can isolate players. And already, Mamu able to pick up a lead. Diz does pick up a trade. And now it's all left up to Rex to get this bomb site cleared, and he's able to do so.
He indeed walks through. And now it's up yet again to TMTwerk. Opposite sides of the map, but similar scenarios, 1 versus 3. Car 98K in hand, and if there's ever a moment where he needed to do the work, now would be the time. No pun intended there for TMTwerk. But still, player just toward his right happens to pick up a bar and could make Teddy Rex look silly, but in fact he'll just be adding toward his overall kill total along with the round count as well. It's now going to be Lethal Gaming up 2 rounds to 0, and I really like this one play that I actually ended up seeing coming in from MuTex to Lethal Gaming. The smoke comes out. I don't remember which player it was from the side of Yodi who tosses it. I want to say that it was CruZuFy, whoever was rocking the FG42, kind of tosses out a smoke essentially to kind of clear out the bomb site, trying to make things a little bit easier for him to get that plant down. And something, as soon as the smoke goes down, normally players will play passively. They don't really try to rush through that one. Instead, what MuTex does is he obviously realizes the smoke. Once he realizes that cross is clear, his overall position is blocked, he realizes that the other member of this engagement is also blocked. So he tries to go for the immediate rush. Once the smoke begins to dissipate, he's able to find the first kill. And from there, it overall makes it more difficult to stop that bomb from being planted. And overall, just a very nice pick coming in from MuTex. And little things like that, Maze, can overall solidify rounds. And it seems that Lethal Gaming is firing on all cylinders at the moment, up 2-1. And we'll see what they can do. In their case, with trying to get the bomb down, they choose the opposite side, it seems, for the moment. At least focusing more attention here over on A.
And here's the funny thing. They had full control of the A-bomb site about 10 seconds ago. Instead of actually getting that bomb plant down, they play for kills, and now they find themselves completely down to the man count. And that is now going to be a really good pick here for Mumu, as he's able to continue to stay alive with the pistol in hand. Does get that final shot to connect as well. And Landon, this has really turned tides, as it's a 1v1 with 15 seconds left, and the bomb has not been planted quite yet either. So this is going to go down to the wire. 5-second plant time. And boy, does he get there just in time to get it. And this could be a very, very good clutch if it goes through for Mumu.
Oh, TMTwerk. Oh, my gosh. For a second there. Oh, TMTwerk going to fire a few bullets in the body. Okay, I can respect it. TMTwerk finally able to get in a more, I would say, an easier position overall when it came down to being the last man alive. So Dolphin Dive in celebration of winning that round here. But still, kind of an interesting situation. Of course, was a 1 versus 3. Came down to a 1 versus 1. Solid shots coming in from MuTex. However, in the end, they did know where the bomb was dropped at. MuTex, of course, has to wrap back around and try to get that one down. Of course, time starts to dwindle, and you start to kind of doubt yourself. Not a whole lot of plays to be made. The overall creativity of the final player on that offensive round starts to, in some cases, become less likely. So, no, moving forward in this round is last one going over toward Yodi. Looking on board with HollyDizz right now as 2 of his teammates have dropped, one from the other side, and now iBuLieVe going to be left all by his lonesome. 1 versus 3. Bomb is down. 54 seconds left to work with. Granted, he does have time. He does have a nice weapon to be rocking as well, of course, the bar. Does have a smoke grenade, I believe, that he hasn't used as of yet. So things aren't necessarily the worst they could be. But being in the situation that he is now, most likely waving the white flag as he's only going to get hit markers there on Maniak.
That's a tough situation once again, and again, this is really a replay in a way of map number 2 on Gibraltar. We started to see it was back and forth. The rounds were super close. The trades were coming through for Yodi. And then all of a sudden, they start to give up some of these areas on the map. They start to kind of forget that they have to play the clock after they get the objective down on one of the bomb sites. And it's just really interesting to see if they're going to be able to regroup here, as it is Lethal Gaming that's able to regain the lead for the time being. But this time, it's a more aggressive push over to B, and this is going to be a quick bomb plant. So they learned from their mistakes. TMTwerk able to get a gorgeous grenade to come in, and then a quick cleanup for Diz, and that was completely red here on the side of Yodi, and they are now up in the man count 3v2.
The CruZuFy just happens to hop out of windows, as it is a one-man advantage. Ramby and Maniak left alive. Long shot there for Maniak. Granted, it is with the bar, but nonetheless, it is still impressive. On the opposite end, though, as shots continue to go down, Ramby is immediately there for the trade. Great positioning coming out from this group here. As it now is going to be left up to CruZuFy, 1-on-2. The tides have turned. CruZuFy now needing to clutch up for his team. Does not want to be down 4 rounds to 2, especially already being down 0-2 in this grand final series. Ramby just toward his left, gets great timing, and overall, that is just a very well executed round from the side of Lethal Gaming, being down in man count and being able to make a comeback, essentially.
Right.
And
they did it again.
Yeah.
They did it again. We've seen it on Gibraltar, and we're starting to see it here on the USS Texas. And it is now a 2-round differential, and it seems like I keep saying that because it keeps happening. And on a best of 5, there's no room for error when you're down 2-0. So hopefully here for Team Yodi, they're able to get things together, and they are definitely going to have to fend off some talented Lethal Gaming players. The grenades haven't connected on the opening break yet, but this 4-4 situation is definitely about to change. First blood will go through for Team Yodi.
It does, and TMTwerk just gets the worst timing possible, happens to wrap back around. However, he does have Ramby Bambi in the back lines with that bar. Has to be aware of his right side. Could easily make their way over toward windows, but he has to go for the rush. He ends up dropping. And now with the bomb being placed down, Maniak spawning TMTwerk from afar, as he will win that gunfight. And honestly, that's a big win for him in the end, because it is going to give him a streak. Of course, earns the Molotov, as that could definitely do some damage from future rounds. But of course, realizing that this one not going to be one where he can add toward his team's overall score, as we're now looking and will be looking at a 3-4 overall scoreline. Of course, advantage toward the side of Lethal Gaming still. But one thing that I did notice, Maze, was the fact that I believe TMTwerk has at least 2 streaks, one of them being the glide bomb heading into this next round, number 8. And of course, now being on offense, that would be a major factor. If they're having an issue trying to get that bomb down, they rock the glide bomb, maybe earn a little bit of that information, whether kills go down or not. If they can maybe try to get that bomb down, kind of force the players inside, they could easily kind of trap them, set up a little bit of a potential pinch, rather, and easily get a offensive round on the board. And if we know anything about Search and Destroy, a lot of the times offensive is not the side that you'd prefer to be on. And with another defensive round coming up, these could be the last 2 in the book here if the streaks are used well.
It very well could be, and of course, all of this utility that Lethal Gaming has could potentially be massive for them, but for some reason, they opt not to use any Molotov cocktails on set or ship there, and unfortunately for them, they will be down on the man count once again, 2v3. They've surpassed the man count disadvantage in the past. Can they do it again on a 2v3? That is a question. Bar shots off a little bit to the left. CruZuFy capitalizing on that mistake by Ramby and is able to clean him up. And now a 1v3 with the bomb down on B, and he is tagged up. Maniak able to make it a 1v2.
What's the call here for Maniak? Definitely not out of the question. 2 players remaining, 30 seconds left in this round. And does have a Molotov quite literally in his back pocket. Just needs to light it, but instead going to use the frag grenade to see if he can get some damage done. Kill not going to go forward. It is going to be HollyDizz on one side, BuLieVe on the other. They should be a pretty easy pinch unless Maniak can escape with a gunfight, but he does get the plant down, and that is only going to be a negative if you are the side of Lethal Gaming, because it's only going to add 2 streaks here for HollyDizz. As once this defuse goes through, he is also going to earn that glide bomb. So on opposite sides here, we now have glide bombs for both of these sides, and now heading into what was a 2-round advantage toward the side of Lethal Gaming, and not using those Molotovs correctly when it came down to that offensive round, maybe just playing a little bit more passively or whatever the cause may be in the play call, this could definitely come to bite them. We could essentially be seeing a map number 4, and that was kind of the key to it, was honestly that bomb going down and HollyDizz getting those streaks.
Yes, and he's an assist away from being completely streaked out as well. And that's something that I think Lethal Gaming is conscious of here, as they were able to witness him defuse the bomb of the previous round. And here now on round number 9, we're going to see if Maniak can hold the line of sight inside the ship near the B-bomb site. That's going to be the lethal player that is definitely going to have a lot on his plate for the time being. But the glide bomb coming in does not connect. That's a huge plus. Rex able to use his, and his does not connect. So back and forth, Lethal Gaming able to get first blood as well. This has just been a complete turn of events here, Landon.
It definitely has. Teddy Rex ends up dropping, and Ramby to the side. Of course, bomb being down, trying to retake this site right now. Ramby watching over. Nice shot there through the wall, and immediately going for the defuse right now for MuTex, and they're going to grab it. The cover fire, goes through, and with 2 players still alive, the defuse will happen. A surprising ending to that round there, Maze, but still, it is now going to be the side of Lethal Gaming who finds themselves up around with 2 glide bombs. Of course, one of those being theirs. Granted, while neither of those come with kills, especially the one coming from Teddy Rex being more important, it does equal out in a round in the end.
It does, and honestly, Yodi has to figure out a way to regroup here, force this round 11. This is going to be a very difficult round number 10 for them. The grenade does go out for Bambi so far, as he is that bomb carrier, but he's starting to push away from the bomb site, and that's the same mistake that he made earlier on the rounds that they lost, and he once again will go down for first blood. The bomb is down, and now Yodi is aware of that, and they're starting to collapse. Maniak trying to turtle a little bit further back where he spawned on a 1v4. He's going to most likely get cleaned up here, and this is just an unfortunate turn of events for Lethal Gaming, who had everything going for them, and that trade does go through. It is going to be a round 11 here, forced by Yodi, and at the most inopportune time, Lethal Gaming gives up some map control that they easily could have had.
Yeah, it's just an awkward site to go to. Of course, like I said, strategy is still being developed when it comes to USS Texas, but kind of making their way over toward that A site. It's such a long line site. It's so difficult to kind of get things down. And either way, no matter how we've got here, we're still here. Overtime coming up. Got to keep in mind streaks in this upcoming round, as it will be Lethal Gaming, actually, who will be on offense for this one. If they do win this round, they are your champions. They win this one in a 3-0. However, if the side of Yodi can win this round here, we would be guaranteed a map number 4. And that one would be on London Docks. As the first few seconds begin to tick off, looking now at less than a minute. Both teams playing incredibly passively, knowing how important this round obviously is. Really more important if you are Yodi in this particular scenario. No one really moving out of their area, it seems.
Right. That's a great point there. They don't have to force the issue at all. They're playing defensively here. They just have to wait for Lethal Gaming to make a play. And Lethal just seems to be playing so passive that they have run down the clock to just 25 seconds and are able to get the bomb plant at a very opportune moment there, as now it is a 4v3, and just like that, it's a 2v3. The man-count advantage goes dead even. 2v2. Bomb timer is still working in Lethal's advantage here, or I'm sorry, in Yodi's advantage. And as it is now, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to regain the map control they need. 2v1 now, and this is all but over. Great way to close things out, and you got to give it to Lethal Gaming. They came to play, and they figured a way to close out Team Yodi.
That last round, I mean, there were so many things that were happening all at once. I mean, honestly, we were thinking in the back of your minds, as we kind of began that last few kind of sequence there, Maze, it was the fact of Lethal Gaming. They have to make the play. They're the offensive team in this scenario. A minute has ticked off the clock. They have about 50 seconds left to kind of establish the issue. They make their way over toward A. I believe it was Teddy Rex who actually had the bomb in his hands. He rotates back inside of that windows area and then immediately hops onto the bomb. I don't remember who it was in the back. I want to say it was BeLieVe who kind of ended up seeing that call, makes that to his teammates. But what ends up kind of going through in that particular scenario is that once Teddy Rex hops on that bomb, it is like almost an immediate reaction to where the side of Yodi is saying, maybe we should, do we tack this immediately? Do we kind of wait a little bit? Do we try to make a pick? Of course, the Molotov goes through, but it lands just on the feet of Teddy Rex, and he doesn't end up taking a whole lot of damage from it. So literally just a minor detail that comes in, just a toss of the inches that could have totally changed that round in the Molotov that was thrown. Does not end up taking out the bomb planter there, which was Teddy Rex. Of course, the round starts to kind of go through. Little by little, Lethal starts to pick away at Yodi to where they have a 2v1 advantage. And in the end, it was obviously one that could not be clutched out, but still, overtime for map number 3. Of course, it was pretty much dominance for Lethal Gaming in the first 2 maps. Ardent Forest ended up being played out 6 rounds to 1, of course, in Lethal's favor. Map number 2 on Search and Destroy on Gibraltar played fairly similar. Of course, saw a little bit more of a fire back here from Yodi, but in the end, of course, it was the side of Lethal who gets the last laugh, especially in map 2 and as well as in map 3. But one thing that you do see is the progression coming in from Yodi as far as the series did progress from 1 to 3 to 5. Can't imagine how map 4 would have played out if they were able to win that overtime there on USS Texas. However, of course, you do have to give a massive GG's to the guys over on Yodi. Of course, Twerk, BeLieVe, Dizz, and CruZuFy. Major props to those guys. But of course, we do have to crown our champions. Lethal Gaming, congratulations to them. MuTex, Ramby, Teddy Rex, and Major Maniak. As yet again, another tournament taking place for World War II. Of course, mentioning it is Search and Destroy. And we do see the younger guys, kind of known as online S&D stars, winning this tournament. And to be honest with you, Maze, I'm starting to notice a little bit of pattern. Maybe that jetpack title may not be as strong as a lot of people may think it usually was.
It's a new game, and a new era could be set for these teams. And that's the great thing about Call of Duty in general. You've got a even playing field right off the break, and that really helps some of these up-and-coming teams that are trying to prove something that they can hang. And that's what we saw here tonight. A lot of the pro teams that were in the tournament unfortunately had either an early exit or a crushing defeat in the later rounds. And, obviously for them, it's good practice for these pro teams going into the Call of Duty World League season. And for these up-and-comers, this is really good practice as well, simply because they have to figure out a way to communicate as a team, figure out these strategies, and study the game. Because at the end of the day, they could potentially be at a major LAN event, and they could potentially make some noise there as well. So it's going to be an interesting year. I think it's a great time of the year, not only for Call of Duty fans, but also for fans of the franchise in the past, where they were so used to boots on the ground combat. So glad to see that back. Glad to be casting alongside you again. It's been way too long, and it was humbling to be able to come here and cast some crucial games here with you. A lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. It was, of course, a pleasure to have Maze's Realm on here for tonight, guys. Of course, it was an interesting night of World War II, to say the least, but of course, it is Lethal Gaming who are your champions in the end. Of course, before we do say our final goodbyes, it's, of course, time to welcome and say thank you to our sponsors for making this tournament happen. Of course, major thank you to Origin PC, Acquire Clothing, Scuff Gaming, and Zowie, a brand by BenQ. Of course, major thank you to the viewers at home, especially along with Maze's Realm for joining me on the cast tonight. Of course, was an awesome reunion to join you for, Maze, and of course, I hope that we obviously get a number of different awesome opportunities to cast with each other yet again, and of course, the UMG Online World War II tournaments. Of course, major thank you to production as well for running tonight's tournament, as well as the referees for doing an awesome job tonight as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to stay tuned, of course, on our Twitter at UMG Events to know when broadcasts like this are going on, as well as our tournaments, where you can also find on umggaming.com. If you guys haven't already, make sure to follow the stream for future broadcasts. We'll see you guys all later. We'll see you on the battlefield, rather. Have a great night, guys.
My heart was on fire, but you let me